Oh boy, 2020, the year of the election and me leaving the teens. But that's fortunately not what we're going to talk about today, since 2020 has been seen as one of the biggest years ever for roller coasters. There's already a fuck ton of videos out there talking about the biggest and baddest coasters opening this year, but the only one I have properly talked about is Orion at Kings Island in my not at all clickbaity video. Yeah, sorry about that one. There's approximately 163 coasters opening this year, but I'm too lazy to cover all of them, and I don't think you want to hear me talk about a lot of small and irrelevant family coasters either. Instead, I'm gonna take a look at some of the greatest coasters opening in 2020, starting off with good old Vekoma. Oh, Vekoma, the 180 of the coaster world. While I still haven't ridden a Vekoma I absolutely despise, I think we can all agree that they used to be one of the less popular manufacturers. Well, we can throw that out of the window and say hello to Formula, Lek Coaster, and more, including a bunch opening in 2020. I have one question though. Dear Vekoma, what is with all your different model names? Shockwave, Space Warp, Hyperspace Warp, Energy Storm, Firestorm, Bermuda Blitz. All these models are pretty much just two different models, with the difference being either lift hill or launch. Yet Vekoma seems to make a new model every time they change the layouts of their new thrill coasters. Why? I don't see the difference between the Bermuda Blitz and the Hyperspace Warp at all. Please let me know in the comments if I'm just a moron, cause I likely am, but still. Anyway, Vekoma is opening two shockwaves this year. First is Abyssus at Energylandia, Poland, which is the park's second launched Vekoma thrill coaster, and one hell of a ride. With a bunch of inversions, powerful looking elements, and a fast launch, this massive thrill coaster is just another standard investment for Energylandia by now. I'll keep my comments on each coaster short since we have a lot to go through, but my general thoughts on Abyssus say that this is going to be a really intense experience with great airtime, powerful forces, and an overall great layout. A similar unnamed coaster is also opening at Dragon Valley Theme Park in China without the pre-launch section of Abyssus. Another Vekoma which isn't confirmed for 2020 but is very likely to open this year is F.L.Y, aka Flying Launch Coaster, aka F.L.Y, at Phantasialand, Germany. This will be the world's first launch flying coaster, and while we don't have that much information on its experience yet compared to other soon-to-come coasters, one thing's for sure, this thing looks cool as fuck. I'll let the pictures speak for themselves, and otherwise I just expect this to be an awesome, well-themed and intense ride. We're also getting the birth of the modern Vekoma SLC. Introducing Hals über Kopf, a Vekoma suspended thrill coaster opening at Tripstal in Germany. This is the first inverted looping coaster they're making since their much loved SLCs. It will feature 4 inversions and hopefully a smooth ride experience, but I would be very surprised if it didn't. A really cool thing is that it also looks like the ride will feature a good amount of airtime moments, which is very unique for an invert. Now, we also have a bunch of unnamed coasters, which I won't go into detail with, because many of these coasters I cover today are just additions to China's already batshit crazy coaster collection, so most of them will just be briefly mentioned. First, we have 2 Energy Storm models opening in China, one in Fantawild in Lukwao, and the other in Sigong Fantawild Dinosaur Kingdom. Not much is known about this model, but we can probably expect it to be very similar to Vekoma's other modern thrill coasters. Then we have 2 Firestorms opening, one in World Fairytale Land in China and the other in Vinpearl Land in Vietnam. This model is basically the same as the Shockwave model, except the layout is relatively different. Then there's a Hyperspace Warp opening at Fantawild in Yangkou. There are a lot of Fantawild parks in China, just like Happy Valley. This model is also the same as the Bermuda Blitz model, except the layout is different, and 2 can already be found at Oriental Legend and Oriental Heritage in China. At Fantawild in Songmu, China, oh my god, all these city names, we have a Space Warp opening, which is the same coaster as Formula at Poland's Energylandia. Finally, we have a giant inverted boomerang opening at Brazil's Mirabilandia, one of 3 parks with the same name, this one being in the town of Paulista. This coaster actually used to operate as Sky Mountain at the other Mirabilandia in Brazil, in the town of Olinda, and hasn't been open since 2009. Before that, it was also located at Six Flags Over Georgia as Deja Vu, one of the 3 Six Flags giant inverted boomerangs. Let us finally move on to B&M, who are opening 3 of their hypercoaster model this year. The first one is CANDYMONIUM at Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. This one looks to be one of the more unique B&M hypers, and I bet it's going to have some solid airtime. I really like how it interacts with the area it's in, and then it has that unique RMC-ish bank under the lift hill, which just is not B&M-like, which in this case is a pretty crispy thing. We also have an unnamed hyper at Hotgo Dreamworld in China, which has been under construction for quite a while now. It also has a unique layout with twisted airtime hills and the iconic Shambhala turnaround. Then of course there is Orion at Ohio's Kings Island, the third of the Gigas. While this is indeed the smallest one to date, it has some pretty killer elements. It looks like it's going to feature some strong airtime and some powerful turns, and while I don't expect it to be the best Giga at all, I do expect it to be a really good short but sweet roller coaster. Next up is Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego, California, the first mini dive coaster in North America. I personally love B&M divers, and this one isn't an exception. It looks great. It's about the same height as Liseberg's Valkyria, and it also features 3 inversions. This is going to be a crowd pleaser, as well as a great fit for the park. Getting back to China's Hotgo Dreamworld, they are also opening a wing coaster with the same layout as Heaven's Wing at China's HB World. And Happy Valley in Kisia is getting a wing coaster with the same layout as Flying Wing Coaster, which is located in Yubei's Happy Valley. Intamin is also doing a lot of stuff this year, but don't worry, it goes fast after Intamin. They are opening OBJECTIF as Francis Futuroscope, which is a new and unique spinning coaster similar to the concept of Cobra's Curse at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. It will be a family spinner with both indoor and outdoor parts, and it looks like it will have a pretty incredible overall experience with some good theming as well. The layout has many classic Intamin maneuvers that you're used to seeing on other of their coasters, as well as the vertical drop track element to scare the living Jesus Christ out of any grandma. I will also quickly mention Sandy's Blasting Bronco, opening at the new Nickelodeon universe in New Jersey. This is just about to open and has already been testing for quite a while, but by the time I'm writing this script, it still isn't open. This is a blitz coaster with a unique layout consisting of a triple LSM launch, 2 Immelman loops and a rollover, as well as a turntable for maximum capacity. Think of this as Intamin's version of the premier ride Skyrocket 2. It looks like a fast and forceful experience, so if you're nearby, get ready for some Intamin is also opening 2 other blitz coasters in China, one in Chengdu Wanda City, which reportedly has a layout similar if not identical to Taron at Phantasialand. The other is at Happy Valley in Kisia, which is said to be similar to Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. While we're on the topic of blitzes, I obviously can't skip over one of 2020's most anticipated coasters, Pantheon at Virginia's Busch Gardens Williamsburg. A huge blitz with an insane layout. It will be the first coaster to have a high-speed switch track, giving you 3 launches. At the same time, the entire layout will be something straight out of No Limits. It's the beginning of tomorrow's Intamin, and it does a lot of RMC maneuvers, but in a different way. With a beyond vertical drop, outer banks, a stall, and even more, this might become the best coaster of the year, but not without competition, of course. Heading to Golden City in Mother Russia, Intamin will open an accelerator relocated from Japan's Space World. It's a simple coaster with a hydraulic launch, a top hat, and an airtime hill with brakes, similar to Stealth at Thorpe Park. Intamin is also opening an unnamed 10 inversion coaster at England's Flamingoland, which is already well on the way. This will be one of 5 clones, an example of which is Alt Air at Italy's Cincinnati World in Rome. It's a classic steel looper with regular inversions, plus the iconic back-to-back hardline rolls at the end. It's the second one to come to England, and it's basically the version 2 of Thorpe Park's Colossus. It should also be noted that this coaster is a relocation and used to operate at Malaysia's Movie Animation Park Studios, as well as Brazil's Hobby Hari. Speaking of Brazil, their Mirabilandia in Paulista is also receiving a multi-inversion coaster, though with 8 inversions instead of 10, relocated from Brazil's Terra Enchantada. Finally, for Intamin is a looping coaster, which much isn't known about, opening at Ocean Paradise in China, and it will feature 5 inversions and a vertical chain lift hill, making me believe this will be the same type of coaster as Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. Moving on to Mach Rides, who are opening AQUAMAN Power Wave at Six Flags Over Texas in, guess what? Texas! This is a Mach Power Splash model, which is basically a launch shuttle water coaster. It's a clone of Pulsar at Wallaby, Belgium, and I believe it's going to have a pretty decent launch section and especially have some pretty good airtime and some killer hang time. It's a water coaster for thrill seekers, and when you consider it's in Texas, I'd say it's a pretty fantastic fit, while it's also unique for the Six Flags line. Mach is also opening a spinning coaster clone of Knott's Berry Farm Sierra Sidewinder, this one opening at England's Paultons Park. While spinning coasters like this can be seen as family coasters, many say that Mach spinners are actually pretty intense and qualify as thrill coasters, meaning it's also going to have some pretty good G. My own experience with Euromir also tells me these coasters aren't so family friendly, so people near the park can expect a thrilling and nauseating experience coming soon. I'm joking, not everyone gets nauseated by spinning coasters, I'm just a weakling. Finally, Mach Rides is also opening an almost clone of Europa Park's Blue Fire. I'm talking about the unnamed coaster opening at Australia's Dream World. Like I said, it's almost a clone. The layout itself is basically the exact same as the other Blue Fire clones, except it has a triple launch with a backwards curved spike instead of the regular one launch, and it will also have a spinning car at the end of each train, like they tested on Blue Fire a few years back, making this a hybrid of a normal Mach launch coaster and an extreme spinner. To be fair, it is kinda in Australia's nature to do something special with the last car in their coasters. After all, they are backwards, or upside down, or they're down under. Shut up. Gerstlauer is opening a new Eurofighter called VERTIKA at La Recre des Trois Coeurs in Francais. This is also a new custom Eurofighter, and it's quite the surprise to me personally. I honestly thought they would use the Infinity Coaster model from now on with their custom layouts and just sell Eurofighter clones, but nope, their Eurofighters are still very much in play with new and exciting layouts. This one isn't so compact either and features some pretty cool elements in its short but sweet layout. I'll be honest, this coaster looks sick as fuck, and I really want to ride it. And it's a pretty good first thrill coaster for the park. GCI is working over at SeaWorld San Antonio in Texas. They're opening Texas Stingray, a GCI hybrid wooden coaster, just barely hitting the 100 feet with its drop. This ride looks pretty sick, and it's already complete. With both huge and drawn out elements and small and fast paced elements, this ride has some pretty decent variety. I expect this to have some pretty decent airtime and really good transitions. GCI is known for their special transitions after all, and this ride isn't short of them. To be honest, it also looks like it'll have more intense airtime than the usual GCIs, so I look very much forward to this ride opening. Martin and Vlemnix are also at works. We have Leviathan at SeaWorld in Aussieland, a Woody by Martin and Velmix, but you can also say this is by the Gravity Group. No official animation of this coaster has been released yet, but it will also be a while before its opening, as it won't open before December of 2020, since that's where it's summer in Australia. But since Gravity Group designed it, I think we can say for sure that it's going to be pretty good. GG is known for pretty good airtime and great transitions, so with that in mind, I think we're good to go. And also, since it's in Australia, the last car of the train is backwards. Next on the list is Premier Rides working on Icebreaker, a skyrocket model at SeaWorld Orlando, Florida. This will be another triple launching coaster, this one having a bunch of airtime moments and other funky elements. It's going to be the park's first launch coaster, which they have been needing for a while now, and it's going to appeal to more families while still providing a good thrill. I expect Icebreaker to be a pretty fun roller coaster and really break the ice. Alright, I'll go hang myself now. Also from Premier is West Coast Racers. This has already opened, but it did so in 2020, so it counts. It's a unique Mobius Loop launch coaster located at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and it's their 19th coaster. They really could not wait another year with Green Lantern so they could at least achieve the record of 20 coasters, no, but anyway, the West Coaster looks like a really fun coaster with some forceful elements and fun inversions, as well as really weird and funky transitions that just look pretty darn entertaining. From an outsider's perspective, I give it my thumbs up, but as many people have been saying, it came to the wrong park. Briefly mentioning SNS Sansei, as they are opening a launch coaster called Launch Coaster in Sunsu Cultural Park, China. I have not heard anyone talk about this ride at all. I get it, because it's just another massive Chinese thrill coaster that goes over everyone's head without them realizing it even exists. But this thing looks good. In fact, it's already built, and it's designed by Alan Schilke. It features one inversion and a compressed air launch like you would expect. You also sit 4 across, and it generally just looks rather intense. Its dive loop is all weird too, but in a way it looks really, intense and fun. I'm excited to see a POV of this. But moving on, we have Dynamic Attractions, who are set to open Mission Ferrari at Ferrari World Abu Dhabi in the UAE this year. I have seen these pictures for a long time now, and I still don't really know what this is. The model itself is an SFX coaster, and I believe it features massive spinning cars. The only pictures that really are of this are the ones of these outdoor elements, otherwise it's indoors, where it supposedly has a drop track, a tilt track, an additional inversion, as well as 2 3D movie screens. So I would believe this to be a highly themed story-based coaster. From what I can tell though, this is going to be a pretty intense coaster still, both in photos, but also because RCDB lists it as extreme. I'm pretty excited to see some actual footage of this thing. Finally, we have Rocky Mountain Construction, which I saved for last because I'm sure we've all heard about their new additions quite a lot by now. This year, they are making 2 pretty amazing coasters, but let's be honest, have they made a non-amazing coaster yet? I mean, I wouldn't know, I haven't ridden one yet. First though is Iron Gwazi, opening at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, an iBox hybrid replacing the old Gwazi dual-link GCI wooden coaster. First off, even though this massive over 200 feet coaster has a structure of wood, it has a beyond vertical drop. I know it's only 91 degrees, but still, how cool is that? Then it also has 3 inversions and apparently 12 airtime moments. Now I think this is going to be one of the best coasters of all time. And regarding the best coaster of 2020, it's probably between this and Pantheon. What can I say? This ride looks amazing. There's not really any doubt that we can expect cracking airtime and thrilling inversions, as well as some good positive forces from this coaster. And some of the elements it has are just wow. I mean, Busch Gardens themselves say that they believe this will be the best coaster on earth, and while I don't agree fully at the moment, it's certainly gonna be up there. Finally, and I really do mean finally, we have Jersey Devil Coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. Ah yes, they finally received the coaster they have been wanting for a long time now. And it's a custom Raptor single rail bombshell with long ass trains, cool inversions, and a fuck ton of airtime. I don't think this is going to be as chaotic as the 2 existing Raptors because this one is really drawn out, but that's okay because I still think and expect this is going to be a really great ride. With the iconic Raptor dive loop, an epic ending, and even a camelback, this ride's going places. Alright. That's it for today's video, folks. If you're still listening, congratulations, you win my love. Thank you for watching this mess of a ride. Please let me know if you plan on riding any of these and what you think of them so far. Also, if you enjoyed, remember to tell your cousin Jerry about this video. And if you didn't enjoy, then that's okay. I'm a disappointment anyway. Otherwise, I hope y'all keep on riding.